Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest news and updates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch two new RBI schemes today, Retail Direct Scheme and also Integrated Ombudsman Scheme. We'll talk in detail about this, and Public Service Broadcasting Day is being celebrated today. And also in sports, it was a humdinger yesterday between Pakistan and Australia. It was Australia who prevailed. All of this and much more. Correspondents will also be joining in with the latest. My name is Abhishek Mahajan and with me is my colleague Rukma. Very good morning, Rukma.
A very good morning to you, Abhishek, and to all our viewers as well. As Abhishek said, we'll be following the Prime Minister as he launches two new RBI initiatives. Also, the COVID situation worsening alarmingly across Europe. Netherlands could take a decision for a partial lockdown. All that and more. News from sports and business as well. But first, here are the headlines.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch two customer-centric initiatives of the Reserve Bank of India today. RBI's Retail Direct Scheme and the Integrated Ombudsman Scheme will be launched by PM via video conferencing.
Relief for Tamil Nadu as Met Department predicts gradual weakening of depression over northern coast of the state.
Security forces killed two terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir in two separate encounters in Srinagar and in Chawalgam area of Kulgam.
India reacts to Chinese construction activity along the boundary, calling it illegal. India says it has not accepted unjustified Chinese territorial claims.
In ICC World T20, Australia defeat Pakistan in a thrilling semi-final to set up summit clash with the Kiwis on Sunday.
And it is Public Service Broadcasting Day today, commemorating the first and only visit of Mahatma Gandhi to All India Radio Delhi's studio in 1947. And now let's take a look at the news in detail.
We'll start with the top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch two innovative customer-centric initiatives of the Reserve Bank of India today at 11 a.m. via video conferencing. These initiatives are the Retail Direct Scheme and the Reserve Bank Integrated Ombudsman Scheme. The RBI Retail Direct Scheme is aimed at enhancing access to government securities market for retail investors. It offers them a new avenue for direct investing in securities issued by the Government of India and the state governments. Investors will be able to easily open and maintain their government securities account online with the RBI free of cost. The Reserve Bank Integrated Ombudsman Scheme aims to further improve the grievance redress mechanism for resolving customer complaints against entities regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. The central theme of the scheme is based on one nation, one ombudsman with one portal, one email and one address for the customers to lodge their complaints. There will be a single point of reference for customers to file their complaints, submit the documents, track status and provide feedback. A multilingual toll-free number will provide all relevant information on grievance redress and assistance for filing complaints. Union Finance Minister and RBI Governor will also attend the event.
And joining us now is our correspondent Arun Sharma with more details about the two RBI initiatives that will be launched by the Prime Minister today. Arun, how big a landmark would you say these two initiatives of the RBI are?
Well, these two initiatives are going to play a significant role in the banking sector specifically. Let's talk about the Ombudsman Scheme first of all. Now, we know this fact that people or the retailers primarily have their bank accounts in the bank. If in case they have some issues with the bank, as far as transactions are concerned, as far as some cyber fraud is concerned. There are also certain issues related to two banking transactions. For example, if somebody has made one payment from one bank, but it has not reached to another bank. So if in case there is some issues as far as banks are concerned related to any banking transactions or anything related to bank, now there will be one nation, one banking ombudsman. So this is a big initiative and a big sigh of relief for those people who are making complaints in the bank for their certain issues or transactions. We know that there are particular banking ombudsmen with respective banks. For example, if in case we talk about State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, or the private banks like HDFC, so all the banks in our country, they do have their ombudsman. You can make complaint over there. But now there is an integrated ombudsman. You can just complain, or you can write an email at one place. You can track your complaint as to what is the status of your complaint. Now, according to this new ombudsman, the one integrated ombudsman, you can also track your complaint, and this complaint will be resolved within the limited time frame or period. So this shows that how the banking complaints will now be resolved as soon as possible. So it's a great sigh of relief for the people who actually don't know where to make complaint as well. So now there will be complete transparency. Now people will be in a position to make a complaint if in case they want to make complaint in bank for any kind of issues related to banks. So that's number one. Number two is the initiative to invest in the government securities in our country. Now, this is a great initiative. Now, you look at this way that the government securities are providing 7%, 8% return to the investors. But there is not much of interest of retail investors as far as government securities are concerned. There are equity markets, we invest in stock markets. So the way the retail investors invest in stock markets, via demat accounts, by opening a demat accounts, you can track your stock market performances via dashboard. So in a similar way, why this retail initiative, the Retail Connect initiative primarily, an investor will be in a position to invest in the government securities. You can track that where the government securities is getting matured, which new government securities is coming in, when the government securities maturing, and of course how much return you are getting. You can track these government securities online via easy dashboard primarily at one place only. Even today, there are various government securities that are being traded. You can invest in various government securities, but to make an investment in government securities is really, a big hassle primarily. There is no complete user-friendly dashboard or a system primarily where you can invest. So now you can also invest in government securities. So this, number one, will ensure that the government bonds, the government securities do attract investment. There is more participation as far as government bonds and government securities are concerned. And second, this will also give a seamless interface, a user-friendly interface to the investors also, who apart from the stock markets, if they want to invest in the government securities, they can of course invest in the government securities as well.
Also, Arun, talking about the Ombudsman scheme again, like you also said, the RBI, after review, they decided to integrate the three ombudsman schemes into one. We want to know from you, what were the drawbacks earlier and how is this going to benefit the common people?
So, Abhishek, as I mentioned earlier, this is one nation, one ombudsman. In this, in this fast-moving life, primarily, we don't have time to, segregate the kind of complaints. There are various complaints primarily that were overlapping each other earlier. So where to complain, how to complain, when to complain, what is the deadline that you should complain in the time frame. All these were various criterias and time frames as far as making a complaint is concerned. Today also, there are the banking ombudsman as well, whereby you can make a complaint. Integrating everything at one place for any kind of banking issues, be it cyber fraud, be it banking transactions issue, if in case a payment is not being made, if in case a bank is mistreating you on any kind of your financial transactions and not listening to you primarily, you can make a complaint, and this is a centralized banking ombudsman now. So this is the place whereby you can make a complaint. You can track that what is the status of your complaint. Number two, a person or retail investor primarily, or a person who is making complaint can also track the status of the complaint. Of course, there will be a limited time frame. For example, 48 hours, 72 hours, this complaint will be resolved. At every level primarily, at the manager level, general manager level, and at the zonal head level, where the complaint is pending, where are the issues, what are the issues, how these issues can be resolved as soon as possible in a limited time frame. Everything will be decided, and it will be decided, and of course you have to make complaint regarding to that. So in that context, this gives a complete relief to the person in our country, or to the investor or person who's having a bank account in the bank. They can primarily make a complaint directly in this ombudsman scheme primarily, and whether you are living in Mumbai and if you make a complaint in Delhi, so there is no issue that in which place you are living. Even if you're living in one place, if you have to make a complaint for a bank in another state or another district, or for another branch primarily which is not in your state, so this ombudsman scheme gives a benefit in that direction.
Right, someone sitting in Assam and he has a bank account in Mumbai, for example, can file a complaint from Assam itself. Thank you, Arun, for giving us your vital insights. Right, moving on to our next story now. India has neither accepted the illegal occupation of Indian territory by China nor China's unjustified claims. Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson said the government is committed to the objective of creating infrastructure along border areas for improvement of livelihood, including in Arunachal Pradesh. He added that constant watch is being kept on developments having bearing on India's security and takes all measures to safeguard India's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Earlier this year on this issue, as we had stated then, China has undertaken construction activities in the past several years along the border areas, including in the areas that it has illegally occupied over decades. India has neither accepted such illegal occupation of our territory, nor has it accepted the unjustified Chinese claims. Government has always conveyed its strong protest to such activities through diplomatic means and will continue to do so in the future.
And 1,500 Indian pilgrims will visit Pakistan through the Attari Wagah transit point in view of Gurpurab. MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said, and also he said that Pakistan had earlier denied permission for the visit of Sikh pilgrims from India to that country twice in June. One on the occasion of the martyrdom day of Guru Arjan Dev, and the second on the death anniversary of Maharaja Ranjit Singh.
COVID update now. India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 110.74 crore mark. Cumulatively, 110 crore 74 lakh 44,153 beneficiaries have been inoculated so far. More than 48 lakh 76,535 vaccine doses were administered yesterday.
Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare Dr. Mansukh Mandavia yesterday interacted with health ministers of states and union territories about the campaign and prevention of COVID-19. The meeting also reviewed the public health measures for containment and management of COVID-19 in states and union territories. Addressing the officials, the minister urged all to ensure collectively through collaborative and multi-stakeholder efforts that no eligible citizen is left without the Suraksha Kavach of COVID-19 vaccine in the country. He also asked them to reach each corner and household across the country to motivate people to take both the doses under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Har Ghar Dastak campaign. At the meeting, the Union Health Minister cautioned all states and union territories that COVID-19 was not over. Cases, he said, were rising globally. In Singapore, Britain, Russia and China, he mentioned how cases were rising again, despite more than 80% vaccination. He also stressed that vaccination and COVID-appropriate behavior should go hand in hand. The Union Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Bharti Praveen Pawar, also attended the meeting.
Down south now, the depression over Bay of Bengal crossed North Tamil Nadu coast close to Chennai yesterday evening. The regional Met Department informed that the depression crossed North Tamil Nadu coast close to Chennai with a speed of 12 kilometers per hour last night. It is very likely to move west-northwestwards and weaken into a well-marked low pressure by today morning. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into southwest and adjoining west central Bay of Bengal and along and off Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and South Andhra coast till today. Heavy rains have been pounding Tamil Nadu for past some days, disrupting normal life. So far, at least 14 people have died in Tamil Nadu due to incessant rains. The Airport Authority of India said flights operations were normal and special arrangements were being made at airports due to the adverse weather conditions. Meanwhile, Tamil Nadu Governor Arun Ravi has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah for the centre extending itself to Tamil Nadu in relief and rescue operations for flood-affected areas of the state. Raj Bhavan, Chennai, in a tweet said the governor, who is now in Delhi, also spoke to Chief Minister M.K. Stalin over phone about the rescue and relief measures undertaken in Tamil Nadu by the state government in view of heavy rains caused by depression in Bay of Bengal. The governor also spoke to Director General NDRF S.N. Pradhan about the rescue and relief efforts. NDRF has deployed 14 battalions in the rain-hit areas. The Tamil Nadu governor is in Delhi for a conference of governor and lieutenant governors at Rashtrapati Bhavan.
In Jammu and Kashmir, one unidentified terrorist was gunned down during an encounter in Srinagar. Police say the encounter broke out in Bemina after J&K Police and Central Reserve Police Force cordoned off the area after inputs of the presence of terrorists there. As the cordon was being laid, the terrorists opened fire. Security forces retaliated, and in the ensuing gunfight, one terrorist was killed. One AK rifle along with ammunition has been recovered. Search operations are underway. Earlier, one unidentified terrorist was also killed in a separate encounter in Kulgam district.
We'll quickly move further. Union Home Minister Amit Shah will be on a two-day visit to Uttar Pradesh beginning today. He will discuss the strategy and preparedness for the upcoming assembly elections in the state with Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and state BJP leaders at Deen Dayal Hastakala Sankul in Varanasi. Amit Shah will also participate in the Akhil Bharatiya Raj Bhasha Sammelan in Varanasi. The meeting will be attended by BJP party in charge of Uttar Pradesh Dharmendra Pradhan and others.
And Union Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia will inaugurate the 32nd edition of Hunar Haat, the perfect platform for the promotion and preservation of the traditional arts and crafts of India in Lucknow today. More than 600 artisans and craftsmen from over 30 states and union territories have brought their indigenous products made with wood, brass, bamboo, glass, cloth, paper, clay, traditional foods from various parts of the country are also available at Hunar Haat. In addition, Vishwakarma Vatika Circus will also be displayed at Hunar Haat, where the Indian circus artists will perform spectacular and diverse traditional entertainment shows. Hunar Haat is being organized till the 21st of November. Renowned artists including Annu Kapoor, Pankaj Udhas, Kumar Shanu, Alka Yagnik will perform various cultural and musical programs every day in the evening at Hunar Haat.
The 52nd International Film Festival of India has released the lineup of international movies for competition at the festival. The best of feature-length fiction films from all over the world are selected to compete in this section. It is one of the most important sections of the festival that features some of the best films of the year, and these 15 films compete for the Golden Peacock and other awards. Some movies that are part of the lineup include Any Day Now, directed by Hemi Ramzan from Finland, Charlotte, directed by Simon Franco from Paraguay, Godavari, directed by Nikhil Mahajan in Marathi, and these films will compete for various categories of awards.
And as part of the celebrations of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Border Roads Organization is conducting India at 75 BRO motorcycle exhibition from 14th of October to the 27th of December 2021, touching all corners of the country to spread awareness of the contribution of the Border Roads Organization in nation building. India at 75 BRO motorcycle expedition team received a rousing welcome in Arunachal Pradesh. Deputy Chief Minister Chawna Main welcomed the exhibition team to Arunachal at Raj Bhavan in Itanagar on Thursday. Deputy CM of the state appreciated this great human endeavour of the BRO to travel all over India and connect with the masses. The expedition is being conducted in 7 legs. Arunachal is being covered in leg 3, which began from Siliguri on the 5th of November and will finish at Dumduma on the 14th of November.
And Public Service Broadcasting Day is being celebrated today. The day is celebrated every year to commemorate the first and last visit of the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, to the studio of All India Radio, Delhi in 1947. The father of the nation addressed the displaced people who had temporarily settled at Kurukshetra in Haryana after partition. Mahatma Gandhi was scheduled to visit Kurukshetra on 12th November 1947 and address 2.5 lakh Indian refugees camping there. But since he could not reach Kurukshetra due to certain unavoidable reasons, an agreement was made for Gandhiji's live broadcast from All India Radio for them. Consequently, Gandhiji visited the broadcasting house and addressed the refugees at 3 p.m.
And let's move on now to our next segment, in which we take stock of all that's happening around the world in across the globe.
First, let's take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. COVID-19 has infected more than 25 crore 26 lakh people worldwide. So far, the number of recoveries stand above 22 crore 85 lakh, while the disease has claimed over 50 lakh 94,000 lives globally. The United States alone continues to contribute majority of the cases of COVID-19 in the world's tally. The country's COVID-19 cases have crossed 4 crore 76 lakh and death toll passing 7 lakh and 80,000.
And the Dutch government on Thursday said it was considering whether to impose Western Europe's first partial lockdown since the summer. To contain the outbreak, the government's pandemic advisory panel on Thursday recommended imposing a partial lockdown, shutting down theatres and cinemas, scrapping large events and closing cafes and restaurants earlier. Caretaker Prime Minister Mark Rutte's cabinet is expected to take a decision on Friday on new measures following Thursday's recommendation by the outbreak management team, a panel of experts. Meanwhile, the Netherlands has recorded over 16,000 coronavirus infections in the past 24 hours, the highest number of cases since the start of the pandemic. The rising number of cases is once again putting pressure on hospitals, and health experts on Thursday called on the government to impose a partial lockdown to fight the surge.
In what it's called a world first, Israel on Thursday held a war game drill in case of an outbreak of a new lethal variant of COVID-19. And during the COVID drill, Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett and senior aides holed up in a nuclear command bunker on Thursday to simulate an outbreak of a vaccine-resistant COVID-19 variant to which children are vulnerable. A fictitious coronavirus strain, Omega, bypassing the COVID-19 vaccines, which is rolled out at record pace this year. Israeli Prime Minister has described such an eventuality as the next war.
Well, the first lesson we're learning in the midst of this national pandemic exercise is that we have to prepare for the next war and not for the previous war. In this exercise, we're facing a new variant, we call it Omega, which bypasses the vaccines. The vaccines are not effective under this scenario. Moreover, this particular variant is hitting children. So what worked before does not work now. And the main lesson is move fast, move hard.
Israel built the bunker known as the National Management Center more than a decade ago because of concerns about Iran's nuclear program and missile exchanges with Lebanon and Gaza. Bennett said he and his aides could manage Israel indefinitely from the bunker in any major crisis. And in Mexico, shops are seeking to improve their fortunes following the pandemic slump as they kick off US-style Black Friday sales on Wednesday. The Buen Fin, or Good Weekend initiative, seeks to stimulate spending and the country's economy while at the same time offering discounted prices to Mexican consumers. With stores discounting electronic goods such as laptops and big screen televisions and extending retail hours, keen shoppers are packing shopping centers and high streets to take advantage of the event. Following COVID-19 restrictions, millions stayed away from shops at the height of the pandemic. The retail sector now hopes to recoup lost sales with discounted prices.
And on to some other international updates. The fourth edition of the annual Paris Peace Forum is underway, where world leaders, heads of states and non-governmental organizations discuss global issues such as climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic and digital migration. The French President Emmanuel Macron also hosted a dinner for attendance of the Paris Peace Forum on Thursday evening, including US Vice President Kamala Harris. Speaking at the summit, Macron called for more equity in COVID-19 vaccinations, noting that jabs are being administered 10 times slower in Africa and other less privileged regions. He also expressed his support to COP26 negotiators who are in the final stretch of the UN climate conference.
And US Vice President Kamala Harris on Thursday called for world leaders to see the coronavirus pandemic as an opportunity to examine and address global inequality. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the Paris Peace Forum, Harris said the pandemic has opened people's eyes on social inequalities. She said the inequality gaps had narrowed and widened during human history, but throughout this pandemic, the gaps have only become larger.
That is why I am... Well, today, we face a dramatic rise in inequality, and we must rise to meet this moment. I believe that we as leaders must ask why this inequality persists. We all know that this is a pivotal moment in the history of our world. We are nearly 2 years into a global pandemic, 5 million lives lost, countless livelihoods have been lost. But the pandemic has also presented us with an opportunity. An opportunity because many in our world who perhaps did not see, now clearly see the gaps.
And Lebanon's culture minister warned on Thursday of recent conflicts stirring Lebanon and other neighboring countries of their course towards peace. Representing Lebanon at the 41st session of UNESCO's General Conference held in the French capital Paris, Mohammed Al-Mortada stressed that his ministry was working to combat instability by building bridges with other nations. Mortada emphasized that the organization's principles of mutual cultural respect and understanding can help Lebanon out of its current crisis. Lebanon is suffering a financial and economic meltdown, which the World Bank has labeled as one of the deepest depressions of modern history, compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic and the massive explosion at Beirut's port that destroyed large parts of the city and killed more than 215 people.
And some updates now on the issue of migrants in Belarus. The European Union is expanding sanctions on Belarus along with individuals and companies involved in transporting illegal migrants, while it will also include sectoral sanctions, that is, economic ones. Making a statement in Parliament, Germany's acting Foreign Minister Heiko Maas on Thursday said no one involved in this human trafficking should go unpunished. He also said the EU will expand and tighten its sanctions against Belarus and make a decision at the Foreign Ministers' Council in Brussels on Monday. The comments came after the European Union accused Belarus of mounting a hybrid attack on the bloc by encouraging migrants to cross into its territory. However, Belarus have denied the charge.
Also, the Western members of the UN Security Council on Thursday condemned Belarus's handling of a migrant crisis along its border with Poland, saying it demonstrates how the government of President Alexander Lukashenko has become a threat to regional stability. Estonia, France, Ireland, Norway, the US and Britain held a closed-door meeting of the 15-member body on Thursday to discuss the migrant crisis.
This tactic is unacceptable and calls for a strong international reaction and cooperation in order to hold Belarus accountable. It demonstrates how the Lukashenko regime has become a threat to regional stability. We call on the Belarusian authorities to stop these inhumane actions and not to put people's lives at risk.
And hundreds of migrants are stuck in freezing temperatures on the Belarusian border, with Poland trying to get into the European Union as EU capitals and Minsk accuse each other of causing the crisis and of endangering lives. Countries bordering Belarus warned earlier in the day that the migrant crisis on the European Union's eastern borders could escalate into a military confrontation. Right, we'll slip into a very short break. On the other side, web news review and also sports stories. Stay tuned.
Namaste India.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind.
Zari India.
Salam India.
Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Mui India.
Nahnu hunud.
India.
Ma Hindi hasti.
Mung Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in all Southeast Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
And welcome back. After that break, it's time now for some business updates in our segment Biz Buzz.
As a major push in technology and digitalization, Delhi Customs Zone took important initiatives yesterday. The Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs launched the online digital application for scheduling of examination of cargo for traders at ICD Tughlakabad, Delhi. It is a multi-stakeholder application where customs, Concor, customs brokers and importers on the same platform, having a shared view of scheduling examinations of goods. This initiative will ensure fullest transparency alongside of convenience for trade and other stakeholders. Customers at ICD Tughlakabad also inaugurated a baggage scanner which will result in non-intrusive examination of unaccompanied baggage, palletized import cargo while ensuring swifter clearances. In another first, ICD Tughlakabad has taken the initiative of improving the logistics efficiency of industry by launching customs clearance work on Sunday and all public holidays. This is another leap in promoting Digital India, faceless customs and transparency in customs processes.
And our news from Wall Street, the S&P 500 ended essentially flat on Thursday, with chip makers helping push the Nasdaq into positive territory in a subdued Veterans Day session. The day after hotter than expected inflation reports dampened investor sentiment and halted a streak of record closing highs. Walt Disney Company, falling in the wake of a disappointing earnings report, dragged the Dow into the red. The market participants were digesting recent inflation data, which suggested that the current wave of price spikes due to chronic worldwide supply challenges could have more staying power than many had hoped. The bond market was closed in observance of Veterans Day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.44%, the S&P 500 gained 0.055%, and the Nasdaq Composite added 0.52%.
Alright, from BizBuzz now, let's move on to our next segment, which is Sports Wrap.
Matthew Wade and Marcus Stoinis stood unbeaten in a six-hitting feast to lead Australia into the T20 World Cup final with a 5-wicket win over Pakistan. Chasing 177 for victory, Australia were in trouble at 96 for 5 when Stoinis and Wade, who hit the winning 6 in his 41, put on 81 runs to finish off the match with 1 over to spare in Dubai. The left-handed Wade, who was dropped by Hassan Ali on 21, smashed 3 straight sixes off Shaheen Shah Afridi in this 19th over to set up a title clash with New Zealand in Dubai on Sunday.
Right, so it's a Trans-Tasman affair on Sunday in T20 World Cup. India's Netra Kumaran has scripted history by winning gold in the laser radial section of the Gran Canaria Sailing Championships held in Spain. The 24-year-old Kumaran finished first in 3 of the 6 races to collect 10 net points in the ILCA 6 event at Gran Canaria last week. She finished 3rd and 4th in rest 2 races. Spanish athletes Benito Lancho came 2nd while Martina Rino Cacho emerged 3rd. The competition had 20 participants from 3 countries including 3 Olympians. Sports Authority of India has congratulated Kumaran on the fabulous win.
Hansi Flick made history as the first German coach to win his first 6 games in charge, with his COVID-affected side thrashing 10-men Liechtenstein in a World Cup qualifier. Flick had to make numerous changes with 5 players out because of defender Niklas Süle's COVID infection. Thomas Muller and Leroy Sane both scored twice for the hosts, who have already qualified for Qatar 2022. Ilkay Gundogan, Daniel Kaufman, Marco Reus and Ridley Baku scored 1 goal each. Germany is at the top of the group of G with 24 points.
And on the lines of cricket's T20 format, futsal has become popular in India. All India Football Federation has started the Futsal Club Championship in the national capital, which has seen 16 clubs participating. More in this report.
In order to give major flip to the game of futsal, the All India Football Federation has started the Futsal Club Championship in the national capital. This is India's first ever futsal tournament at a national level and will conclude on 13th of November. 16 clubs from across the country are participating in the championship and have been divided into 4 groups. This has given massive shot in the arm for women football also.
Futsal is one game which is gaining popularity, which wasn't popular some years back. I myself, I didn't know about futsal. I did not know about futsal till a point of time. But yes, definitely it's gaining a lot of popularity. I think the hero championship. Something for boys is also going on in futsal right now. So yes, I think futsal is a great platform. If you want to go into football, I think you can start with futsal and then go into football. When I started playing, people did criticize a little bit that this is not a sport for girls. This is a sport for boys. So I think फुटबॉल जैसे जैसे मैंने एक्सेल करा, लोगों का जो परसेप्शन था वो चेंज होता गया. People started knowing कि फुटबॉल में भी you can make your career. It's not all about academics.
खेलना कूदना हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर हमारी जो ओवरऑल डेवलपमेंट होती है वो भी खेलने कूदने के कारण ही होती है. हमारी पर्सनैलिटी भी खेलने कूदने से बेटर होती है. तो इसीलिए कोई भी स्पोर्ट्स हो बट खेलना इंपॉर्टेंट है.
So we all know like futsal is a very fast game than football. It's not 11-a-side game. It's a 5-a-side game. We're playing at a smaller field and it's also less duration than football because it's like very fast. There's no break in between. So 20 minutes you have to run up and down. So I think to develop the basics, futsal is a very good game. So if we introduce this game at a grassroots level with young children, I think it will develop their basics very well and they can excel in futsal and football in future as well.
AFF League CEO Shunandu Dhor reflected on the pathway for futsal development in India.
I think futsal can be a game changer because it's the first time that AIFF is organizing it, Futsal Club Championship. The response that we have got from our state associations has been fantastic. 12 state associations doing their own league, the champions teams qualifying out here, so which has been a fantastic initiative. And the level of competition that we see out here, and also the intensity of the matches, the skill level has been fantastic. And this is a fast-paced, action-oriented game. This has all the ingredients to make it very catchy for the young generation. So if this can be properly managed and marketed, this could be a real game changer. The thing is that already FIFA and AFC have club championship and the national championship. Recently FIFA had their futsal World Cup, Portugal won it. So, and we have also seen a lot of stars of football started their careers in futsal. Ronaldinho, Neymar, Suarez. So this can obviously positively contribute towards the development of the football in this country. So that's something which is fantastic, and all these international tournaments can add to the glamour and also the skill level of futsal.
Futsal, with its reliance on skilled shots, ball control and swift pace and a growing popularity in the country, has the potential to change the contours of the game in the country. Taposh Bhattacharya's report, TD India.
And it's time now to take a look at the major happenings that took place on this day in history.
In today's episode of Saga of Freedom, we'll talk about roundtable conferences and appointment of Simon Commission. We'll pay tribute to the founder of Hindu Mahasabha, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya.
November 1930, first roundtable conference started in London. In 1919, the freedom movement was in full swing, with its non-cooperation movement spearheaded by Gandhiji. Also, the Government of India Act 1919 could not satisfy the demands of Indians for increased participation of Indians in all branches of governance.
There were increasing demands of granting dominion status to India among a certain section of the British polity too. Thus, to inquire into the working of the Government of India Act 1919, Simon Commission was appointed.
In response to the inadequacy of the Simon Report, the then British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald in 1929 decided to hold a series of roundtable conferences in London. There were 3 such conferences.
The first roundtable conference convened from the 12th of November 1930 to the 19th of January 1931. Prior to the conference, Mahatma Gandhi had initiated the civil disobedience movement. Consequently, Congress did not participate in the first conference, but representatives from other Indian parties and a number of princes did. The outcomes of the first roundtable conference were minimal. The British government realized that the Indian National Congress needed to be part of deciding the future of constitutional government in India. The British Indian government released the political leaders of Congress to make a favourable environment for the talks between Gandhi and Lord Irwin.
After the end of the first roundtable conference, Tej Bahadur Sapru, C.Y. Chintamani and Srinivas Shastri appealed and tried to persuade Mahatma Gandhi to talk with Viceroy Lord Irwin. Following the talks in March 1931, the Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed, and Gandhiji agreed to suspend the civil disobedience movement and also consented to participate in the second roundtable conference.
12th November is also the death anniversary of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, the famed Indian educationist and freedom fighter who is also called Mahamana.
Malviya was born on 25th of December 1861 in Allahabad and studied in Calcutta University. He then became a school teacher and later a lawyer and a newspaper editor. He is also the founder of the Hindu Mahasabha.
Malviya was an important figure in the non-cooperation movement.
In 1928, he joined Lala Lajpat Rai, Jawaharlal Nehru and many others in protesting against the Simon Commission, which had been set up by the British to consider India's future. Just as the Buy British campaign was sweeping England, he issued on 30th of May 1932 a manifesto urging concentration on the Buy Indian movement in India. Malviya was a delegate at the second roundtable conference in 1931.
During the civil disobedience movement, he was arrested on the 25th of April 1932, along with 450 other Congress volunteers in Delhi. Malviya was the only leader of the Indian National Congress who was appointed as its president for 4 terms.
Malviya always tried for Hindu-Muslim unity. He gave 2 famous speeches on communal harmony, one in Lahore in 1922 and in Kanpur in 1931. In his presidential address at the INC's Calcutta session in 1933, he said,
I implore all Hindus and Muslims, Sikhs, Christians and Parsis and all other countrymen to sink all communal differences and to establish political unity among all sections of the people.
To redeem his resolve to serve the cause of education and social service, he renounced his well-established practice of law in 1911 forever in order to follow the tradition of sannyasa throughout his life. He pursued the avowed commitment to live on society's support.
But when 177 freedom fighters were convicted to be hanged in the Chauri Chaura case, he appeared before the court despite his vow and got acquitted 156 freedom fighters. Malviya, who was keenly interested in uplifting the educational standards of the country, was the principal founder in 1916 of the Banaras Hindu University in Varanasi, a premier institution of learning.
Malviya's consciousness toward the public led to the launch of his own Hindi language weekly, the Abhyudaya, the leader of Allahabad, an English language daily, and the Hindi monthly, the Maryada.
He was conferred with the Bharat Ratna along with former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Let's go across live to Hyderabad now, where NSA Ajit Doval is addressing Dikshant passing out parade at the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy.
It will be one of the lead nations. What we have achieved in the last few years is a beckoner to the direction in which the country is moving. For you to really contribute your might, you have got to develop a national perspective. Don't forget that the first word of your service is the Indian Police Service. You are for India, and India is for you. Every other identity gets subsumed into this Indian identity. The interest of India should be supreme, and the Constitution of India and the values, the traditions, the civilizations that this our family represents. My young colleagues, quintessence of democracy does not lie in the ballot box. It lies in the laws which are made by the people who are elected through those ballot boxes. You are the ones who are the enforcers of those laws. Laws are not as good as they are made. Laws are as good as they are executed and implemented, and the service that the people are able to get out of it. If you fail to implement and enforce them in the letter and spirit in which they were made, they were as bad or as good as they were made. So the success of democracy in enforcement of laws that is given by the people through their elected representative lies in your efficiency, in your commitment, in your values, in your attitudes, and in your performance on the ground. Their implementation is more important than their legislation. No nation can be built where rule of law has failed. People cannot feel safe and secure where law enforcers are weak, corrupt, partisan. I found that many of these values were enshrined in the oath that you just took. Enforce the law with that spirit. And it's no small call. Together, your service is going to provide, or my service also, to provide this sense of their being protected by law, a sense of safety, sense of security to 130 crore people. Every seventh man on this planet is the one whose safety and whose security you are responsible for. People are most important. The new frontiers of war, what we call the fourth generation warfare, is the civil society. Wars have ceased to become an effective instrument of achieving their political or military objectives. They are too expensive and unaffordable. And at the same time, there is an uncertainty about their outcome. But it is the civil society that can be subverted, that can be suborned, that can be divided, that can be manipulated to hurt the interest of a nation. And you are there to see that they stand fully protected. So the service of the people.
Right, so this was NSA Arijit Doval addressing Dikshant passing out parade in Hyderabad, clearly talking about the security and the values to be inculcated for the success of the democracy, and also talking about the law and sense of security and safety of the people. Well, now let's move on to our next segment, which is Web News Review.
And our colleague Tapas Bhattacharya joins us. Tapas, a very good morning to you. What have you selected for us this morning?
Abhishek, let's start with the story that has come in the Times of India. The policy on booster shot soon, says a panel member, and India will soon release a policy document on administering a booster dose of COVID-19 vaccine. And earlier also Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia had said that it is natural to discuss the need for a booster shot, and it is expected that it will come out very soon. The second is the government plans 5G sale in early next fiscal. That is also from Times of India. So after mega reform in the bailout package for the telecom sector, one expect this particular 5G and upgradation of technological upgrade to also come out very soon. So a huge boost for the telecom sector also. Now the third story is definitely the Chennai flood situation that has come out. The headline in Hindustan Times is Chennai sinking in the rain. It has once again showcases the fact that in the last 24 hours the city has received 203 almost 203 millimeter of rain, which has literally drowned most of the city. The fourth news is on TUI. It says that VAT cut on fuel in Uttar Pradesh and Haryana hits Delhi sales. Remember, Delhi has not yet reduced its tax on petrol, products, and that's one of the reasons why most of the people are moving to the neighboring states in Haryana and UP to fill their cars. Almost more than a quarter of Delhi's 403 petrol pumps located near or inside the border areas have been hit hard because of that. Almost an 8-liter difference it has made. Now, the other news is from Hindustan Times, which says new buildings in Delhi may need vector control steps. So, during dengue season, all the new buildings that will be coming up in the national capital will have to obtain occupancy certificate, clearing the structures for several anti-mosquito measures. So that is another point that has come out in the news. The last but not the least is the construction sector may get 50,000 crore liquidity push. Another government has been making a major push in this particular sector, and in a major boost to the construction firms, the finance ministry, according to this particular report, has directed all the central government entities to release 75% of the disputed amount, estimated to be around 50,000 crore, across 600 projects under litigation, and to the contractors. So that's another huge bonus for people working in this particular sector. So for now, this is the major news coming in from web. Back to you for more news and update.
Right, Tapas, thank you so much for the elaborated web news review segment. And now it's time for a wrap. But before we end the breakfast show, we'll leave you with this inspiring story of a brave boy for whom the sky is the limit. Let us meet Akash, who did not give up on life, rather stood firm and determined to achieve his dreams. With no hands and a leg, Akash takes a pen with help of his toes to write his destiny. Take a look at this report. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
They say when life gives you lemons, you turn around and make lemonade. So goes the adage. That is precisely what the little boy Akash did. With no hands and a leg, Akash does everything that a normal child does. It did not stop Akash from pursuing his dream of an educational degree. Today, Akash has become an inspiration to many for his indomitable courage and never give up spirit. Akash studies in class 6th while he utilizes toes of his feet to hold a pen and write.
आकाश का मतलब क्या होता है? तुम भी आकाश की तरह ऊंचे होगे? अच्छा, पढ़ना लिखना अच्छा लगता है? सबसे अच्छा क्या पढ़ने में लगता है? बड़े होकर क्या बनोगे? ये तुमसे बड़े हैं? अच्छा, तो इनकी मदद करते हो पढ़ने लिखने में? अच्छा, इनको सबसे अच्छा क्या लगता है? करते हैं।
The specially abled boy Akash does not only write with his one leg but also plays games and uses mobile phone with help of his leg. Akash's father is a laborer, and despite lack of resources, he never let Akash stop his studies. Akash has been a bright student and a quick learner in school. Even his teachers never stop praising him.
कैसा पढ़ने लिखने में है और घर में कैसे आप लोग रखते हैं इसको? क्या
ऐसे खिलाते पिलाते हैं और पढ़ने लिखने में ठीक है।
दिव्यांग है, कोई परेशानी इसको?
परेशानी
काम जो ना कर पाता हो?
नहीं, काम तो सब कर लेता है, घूमता फिरता है और खेलता रहता है।
पढ़ने लिखने में कैसा मन लगता है? पढ़ने में?
हाँ, पढ़ने में मन लगता है।
अच्छा, ये कह रहा है हम बड़े होकर पुलिस बनेंगे। आप लोगों से भी कहता है?
जी,
पढ़ने में अच्छा है सर। इसमें एक्टिविटी कुछ एक्स्ट्रा रहती है अन्य बच्चों से, और कुछ अलग इसको करने की तमन्ना है इस जीवन में। तो उसको हम लोग यही कोशिश करते हैं कि उसके अंदर जो भी क्षमता है उनका हम पूरी तरह से विकास करें।
Indeed, where there is a will, there is a way, and this is best suited in Akash's case. While Akash's father wants some more support from government to help raise Akash, but Akash, who has not only become a hero to many, but also teaches us a lot of lessons in life, like never giving up on hopes and dreams. Bureau Report, DD India.